the Queens.
Hey, Paul, you coming to the meeting?
I love it.
Okay.
Here's my California girls.
Aw.
They're playing in the mud.
Okay.
Okay, it's 7:05 and you are now live.
Took down the child, naked
Welcome.
child just in the right time.
7:05 and you are live.
the meeting?
Alrighty, thanks everybody. We are live now. It is February 25th, 2021. I am going to call to order the meeting of the City of Oneonta Community Relations and Human Rights Commission. My name is Shannon McHugh. I am chair of said commission. As always, I'm going to thank our person waiting in the wings, and tonight that's Bonnie. She will be helping us as needed. She is from the city. For roll call this evening, we have some people we haven't heard from. They may be coming in. We do have a quorum. There are enough members present, though this evening, unfortunately, our city council liaison, Luke Murphy, will be unable to make it, and he is excused. So as we wait to see if anyone else comes in, I will roll call. So Council Member Joyce Miller.
Here.
Council Member Reverend Marty.
Here.
Council Marty Franklin Chambers.
Here.
And myself, Shannon McHugh. I am here.
Paul is on his way.
I figured he can be on his way. We don't have a whole lot to discuss. We don't have petitioners. I haven't had any new interactions or anyone reach out to me. I don't know if anyone else has thus far. So we can kind of bypass all that. Our annual report, I finished. I added those since you know, I think I resent it out to everyone to see the final piece. As far as I know, it was accepted. There are no issues, so that's good. Let's jump to approving January's minutes. Did everyone get a chance to look at them? Thank you, Joyce, for getting them together for us.
Welcome.
Did everyone get to look at January's minutes?
Yes, I move for approval.
Okay, great. We need a second, right?
Second.
Oh, yay, Deandra! You made it. Our newest member is here.
Woohoo!
You just made it. It's roll call.
Hi.
What are you doing?
So we're talking about January minutes. Frank was voted on them. We need a second on January minutes to pass them.
I seconded it.
Thank you, Reverend Marty. So our January minutes are passed.
All in favor?
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? No. All right. Thank you, Joyce.
That's okay.
So I kind of, for Trailblazer, you know, for old business, I wanted to talk about Trailblazer. Deandra did write up the article for the Daily Star. I know that Paul was working with her. So I'm going to kind of, not to put you on the spot, Deandra, but to talk about the article a little bit, maybe what you and Paul talked about.
It really was just kind of like a draw of attention to know what's there, that the award is there and what you need to do to apply or recommend someone for it. But other than that, there really wasn't too much detail about it. We just put information to get more information at the end. I think it was to carry in.
Okay, I was curious because Paul called me and asked me for my number and stuff and said someone needed it. When he comes,
I don't think we put your number in there. No, I think it was just to the
Okay.
city clerk.
okay, when he comes, I'll ask him.
Did it also go to the city, the free paper, the weekly?
All of hometown.
Hometown?
That I'm not sure about. I just know it was in the Star, the Daily Star.
Right. I saw it in the Star. Because the hometown gets a little wider readership.
I think that's something we might want to just press Paul about because Paul's kind of been, I don't know up to what he's handled.
Okay,
So I don't want to take it anywhere without him here or me emailing him and asking him.
okay.
If that's not the case, then I will reach out to hometown and give it to them. So it's won't be anything tremendous to have to take care of. But let's wait until Paul comes because I believe he said he's on the way. So I guess I really quickly wanted to talk about subcommittee 4 for the CAB committee for the community advisory board for the Oneonta Police Department. We handed in our final, and I use quotes, final recommendations on Monday. They are going to be looked over by the chair of the committee and the mayor and the interim chief and liaison to the commission, Luke Murphy. That's who's going to be putting the various, there's 4 subcommittees. The 4 subcommittees recommendations will kind of be looked over and joined together to kind of make something cohesive. So we decided to make our recommendations public. So if people would like to see our recommendations, you can find them on Facebook. You can go to Subcommittee 4 in Oneonta, and it'll be the latest post. It'll be a Google Doc. You can click it and go to the Google Doc. And just to keep up with that transparency and making sure that we're getting input and feedback from the community, you can always email us at sub 4 and then oneonta@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Facebook. Either way, someone will get back to you. And this is a community effort. So hearing back from the community is like a really integral piece. We also finished up our survey. We got enough responses for our survey. That is going to be like a really major piece to our community input for the community advisory board to OPD. And that, I think we finished that up on Monday. It's going to take about a week and a half to really get that data into a space that everybody's going to be able to access. But that as well is going to be made in some form or fashion, pieces of it, all of it, what have you, if we're still deciding, will be public for the community to access, to keep that transparency again. We are really hoping to make the comments section public as well. We're trying to decide how to best go about that. It's a lot of feedback in the comment section. I'm not necessarily sure the newspaper is going to want to print everything, but we wanted to make sure that those who did respond can see, yes, I commented, my response was, again, that transparency, the authenticity of the survey, and that, what you had to say was taken into account. So, and then also allowing other members of the community to see how others are experiencing the police department here, because they're, much of it, there's like 2 separate worlds. And I think it would be nice for everyone to be able to read and see. So I'm going to kind of like take a minute to just shout out my subcommittee because they're incredible. They did amazing work. They were so committed. They did above and beyond what I ever expected for them to do, especially when we had no idea what we were doing. So I just want to shout them out real quick. One of them is here, Deandra. Thank you. Everybody is just incredible, and we are going to continue to push on with our survey results and whatever the main commission deems is the next step. We don't know yet. So we'll know after they meet with the interim chief and with the mayor and Luke and Biama. So we'll know better at the next meeting. Deandra, did you want to say anything about the subcommittees or CAB?
Yeah, the only thing I kind of wanted to add was I hope the other subcommittees follow fashion and like publish their suggestions. And if they don't do it individually, maybe once all of them are combined, all the suggestions will be published, just for my own curiosity. And I know other members of the community will probably want to know what we've been working on these last months, and what kind of changes or recommendations are going to affect their police department. So
Yeah,
hopefully we'll be able to see everyone's hard work, not just subcommittee scores.
right. See what everybody's been working on. I think the big piece is like just they're going to try to mesh everybody's things together. And if, you know, there's some things that, like, looking back now, if this were to happen again, that governor would choose to do different, giving us a plate. That would have been great. So that we're all like writing in the same way or have something to follow. There's literally nothing. We had to just like make it up. Be like, boom, we've got this thing. And then hope it kind of jives with what the other subcommittees are doing. So I just want to stress, because I know people are going to think that our recommendations are the end all and be all of what was put in there, but they're just subcommittee 4's recommendations. They haven't been adapted. They haven't been voted on. They haven't been put in front of the mayor or nobody yet. This is just our recommendations, what we chose to put out. So, Paul, are you here?
I'm in, yeah. I had to the phone number and I can't get in via the screen. The screen basically says that I'm supposed to be waiting to get in and nobody lets me in.
I mean, I'm glad you're here by voice.
Well, I'd like to be there by face too, but who else is there?
We've got Reverend Marty, Frank, Deandra, and Joyce, and Bonnie's.
Okay, is Luke there?
Luke unfortunately cannot make it this evening.
Okay.
We did kind of have questions for you. I'm going to let Joyce speak really quickly because I think it was about what we were speaking about, and then I want to come back to you about the Trailblazer article, if that's okay.
Okay, fine.
Thanks, Paul.
Sure.
Joyce,
Yeah, I had a question. Where does the subcommittee reports go? Who do they go to? Is
Okay.
the police chief involved? And since we have an interim chief, how does all that play now? What do you know? What do you know?
It's quite interesting, right? We're 9 officers down. We're now a police chief down. We've got somebody who's acting as lieutenant and interim police chief. We actually, legally you have to have a police chief. So it's like you've got all these dynamics at play, right? So what I know as of right now is what we've written goes to Biama and Luke. Biama is the chair of the CAB committee. She is up at Hartwick, but she is the chair. So between Luke and Biama, they're going to put together what we've all worked on, all 4 subcommittees. Once they've got that together, that will be presented in a meeting between Biama, Luke, the mayor, and the interim chief. Now, the interim chief can look at it and say, these things aren't feasible, or this thing is feasible, or this thing, it's just like an idea. It's not that he's going to say, oh, I can't do this, and they're going to say, oh, well, take that out. It's just for him to get an idea of what our recommendations are, what we're hoping to see. I will say that I spoke to him for like 3 hours one day, because he said that, you know, he would like everybody, you know, kind of to be up front and on the table with him, and he would have already started some of these things had he had known some of them, you know. And so I took that to heart and called him and said, hey, you know, I know you said this in the last meeting, so here it is. Here's a lot of what we're working on. Just so you have a heads up, let's have conversations about it. This is what some of what we want to see. And it went away a lot better than I expected. I've never talked to him outside of just the general meetings. I've never met him. I had no idea really what to expect. He has some things that he's working on himself that he's looking to push forward for the community that are positive, their growth, they're things that this community needs to see. I definitely think the police department as a whole needs a lot of support, which is why we've suggested the continuation of CAB committee as an oversight board for, you know, that contains community members, so that they can take on some of the roles within the police department that right now, like, are difficult for them to accomplish, like accreditation. It's really what Chris was saying, the interim chief was saying, that's really like a one-person job throughout the year, keeping their accreditation. So if we have a board, though, if we have this continuation of the committee that is currently enacted, that myself and Deandra are on, then they can handle things like that. And they can also handle things like trainings and making sure things are quality trainings and new hires and them feeling acclimated and accepted in the community, so we can retain officers and, you know, just so many different things. So we're 9 officers down. We've got the, you know, an interim chief, a lieutenant who's acting as an interim chief. So even though, yes, he can say, you know, my department can't handle this right now, or we don't have enough officers for this, or what have you, whatever is going on, it doesn't mean our recommendations will be shot down or, you know, changed at that point. What will happen is we will take what his input and the mayor's input, and then we will reconvene as a committee with the chairs and Biama and Luke and the chief, and we will come up with, I think it's going to be like a reformed version of what we've submitted, what we really want to see. Once we've agreed upon these things, it will then be sent to council. So in the end, this all will go before city council. Once it's sent through city council, it will then go to the governor's office. Did that help? I said too much.
Yeah, I just was curious about the process here. Yeah, thank you.
It's been a lot. It's like all I've been talking about. But as far as I'm aware, that's the process. It may be different, but again, we kind of got it, you know, the committee was kind of put in our laps with no real boundaries or structure or anything. So we're kind of like, as we're going, trying to make the best of it and trying to adapt. So
I've got a quick comment or a question, if I can.
Sure.
I'm thinking to myself that the committee really is in a position to maybe do more than you're expected to do in getting the city council to respond to the crisis that the police department faces. In other words, you could be a lobby group, and when you make your recommendations, strongly recommend that the city council prioritize more pay and more money immediately available to hire more members of the department to fill those vacancies and to actually bolster the department with more support. So you could be kind of a lobby group, I think, if you make an effort and use that position you've got and get the city council to really prioritize making the police department more viable. Because right now they're desperate, it sounds like.
Right. So because of that desperation, my committee chose to do some things a little bit differently than that. Yes, we want to see the positions filled that are already open and available, that would take a lot of stress off of our department. And having somebody either in the lieutenant's position or in the chief's position would relieve a lot of stress as well. So just having the appropriate number of officers working the appropriate number of hours should help negate some of the stress and being overworked that our officers are currently facing. However, we have chosen to go a different route and we're reappropriating a lot of services. So in the sense of, for instance, let's take MCAT, right? Let's take mental health services. In 2019, the Oneonta Police Department had 161 contacts with those with mental health issues. 72% of those contacts were arrested. So if you are somebody with a mental health concern in the city of Oneonta, you have a 72% chance of being arrested upon contact. Now, this is not to say our police department is bad. This is a department that is down 9 officers. This is our department who is overstressed, overworked. They're dealing with circumstances that they've gotten inappropriate training for. We're asking them to take on these roles. So instead of continuing to ask them to be burdened by these roles that they're not really professionals that are capable to handle them, we are asking the professionals that are already in the community that are dealing with this population and know how to work with this population, step up and take on that. So services like MCAT is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service who I've spoken with personally, and they're more than willing to help mitigate some of these calls. So when they come in, OPD isn't getting hit with mental health calls that can be handled by other professionals in the moment. Obviously, if there is an immediate concern or immediate assistance needed, then OPD would still handle these calls. But not just MCAT. We're also pushing around the idea of having a mental health professional available inside the police department. Utica actually just made $75,000 available in their police department to have somebody on staff on site who's a mental health professional for those in the community and for their officers. If we chose to go that route and had somebody per diem or part-time or full-time, then that's somebody who could be in our police department who can assist with these mental health calls. We're talking about, 13 to 14 contacts a month. We're not talking about anything crazy, like with the amount of contacts. And then that person can also be available to support our officers who actually don't have great access to mental health services right now. Their only mental health services currently are they have a mental health evaluation upon hire. And then should something happen to them and they need a professional, there is a phone they can pick up that calls someone anonymously. That's it. They're not asked to talk to a counselor. They are not, hey, so this traumatic thing happened to you. You should take 24 hours off, go see a counselor. No, there's rules, regulations, HIPAA. There's all these things that are in play that are preventative of our officers. I'm going a little bit too deep, but basically taking services that other professionals are capable of handling in our community and successfully have handled and allowing them to take them over to a capacity to which there's still safety and there's still some structure, and should the police be needed, they will be there. But we're trying to deter first from that. We're trying to give the population actual legitimate professionals, because a 72% arrest rate if you have a mental health issue in this community is outrageous. Sorry, Paul, was that your answer? Is that helpful?
Well, even beyond what I expected. Okay, sounds good though.
We also asked that services be pushed over to UPD. UPD to amend their MOU, their memo of understanding, with the City of Oneonta Police Department, which the interim chief is actually currently trying to allow for UPD to, on the weekends, be out with them. They are out patrolling together, trying to mitigate college behaviors. So this process is already kind of getting put into play a little bit. They're testing the waters. So allowing UPD to kind of handle some of its population versus it being 26% of our arrests for the year. College students make up 26% of our arrests in 2019. So if we allow for UPD, for the University Police Department, to handle some of these calls, such as noise complaints, parties, loitering, drunkenness stuff, public intoxication, then we are taking that off the backs and the shoulders of our officers who currently are experiencing all these challenges. And
Good
the
idea.
other piece is the third one is actually partnering. They don't know it yet, but Fordo, I kind of ran out of time to really officially talk to somebody, but they have the appropriate programming and such that we'd want to partner with them to be able to reach out to those who are coping with drug and alcohol use and abuse, and also those who are picked up who are dealing or selling drugs, because much of the time these individuals are also using to support their habit. So we have about 100 contacts a year. The police department has about 100 contacts a year. So in partnering with a group like Fordo, Leaf is already partnered. They do a lot of preventative, but Fordo is kind of after the fact, and they have like employment assistance and legal help and such. We can kind of cut down on the reoccurrences of contact. So it's not about the initial contact. It's about by sending out a recommendation or hooking them up with services. It's the reoccurring contacts we're trying to cut down. So that will then also benefit OPD. So instead of saying, let's just throw money at it, let's have more officers, it's kind of, well, let's step back and let's see what is already here and established that they can take over in their professional realm to provide the support to our department, which the CAB committee, the continuation of this board that we're on, will also allow for. They'll take over a lot of aspects of training and new hires and things like that, so that we're not just throwing all of this at the police department. We're going to have a group of people who already know what's going on, that already understand what's going to be asked and what we're looking for. So it's not like we're asking the police department to learn all this new stuff or change all these things or what have you. They're going to have a board that's going to know what to do. So yeah. Sorry.
Thank you, Sharon, for all the hard work that you have been putting in on this. And DeAndre, you obviously were on that group too. And wow.
Diana Foster, Akil Croston, Donald Bowden, let me just shout them out. We have spent a lot. I mean, we have some things that we really could have developed that unfortunately we don't have the time. And had we had the time, we could, it could have been great, but unfortunately that's the governor's piece. Not much we can really do.
Yeah, though.
Well, there's nothing to say that in the future more couldn't be done.
Right. That's what all this is about, right, Joyce? It's the future. We're hoping, yes. We're banking on the future. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Oh, that's it. That's all I have to say about the subcommittee, guys.
Hey,
that's it.
That was an awesome report.
Awesome.
So well, Joyce, thank you. I hope everybody feels that way. Let's kind of back up a little bit. If no one has questions, we'll kind of revert back to Paul and ask about the Trailblazer article. Paul, are you with us?
Yeah, Deandra pretty much did most of the drafting, but it's been submitted to the Daily Star. I only saw one publication in the Star that was a good one, and I'm not sure if they've done any repeats. I asked them to do that, and then I sent it also to All at Seago.
Oh, you did? That was our question.
Yeah, it's apparently only online with All at Seago. It's not on the newspaper print. So I'm not sure why they didn't respond. I'm going to send it in again and see if they put it in the next issue, but it's definitely online.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we were curious about, was
Okay.
whether Hometown got it.
They got it, but they didn't put it on print.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate you handling that. And Deandra,
No,
thank you so much for
thank her.
offering to write it. Like your first meeting on the job, you're like a boss. Like, I'm gonna write this article. I got it. I don't know. Does anyone have new business, old business, announcements, anything they want to say?
Well, does Franklin have anything to say about today's report about the colleges and the virus? I know he's working very closely in that department.
I'm sure he wanted, come on, Frank, coronavirus.
Well, there is certainly an uptick taking place in the Oneonta area. It has not been attributed to the college population in particular. However, we did send a notice to our students asking our students to remain vigilant and continue to wear their masks, continue to participate in testing. And so we would encourage the community to do likewise. We don't know exactly if the uptick in the Otsego County area is a result of an event that took place, but we have seen a slight uptick in the Otsego County area. And certainly our students are impacted by it. Our campus community is impacted by it. So beyond that, I don't have much more information.
The Daily Star stories really indicate that the colleges are a main reason why the uptick happens, and Hartwick more than Suco.
As I said, the evening news was pretty much saying that too.
I certainly wouldn't speculate at this point because I don't have enough information. I wish that the Daily Star and others wouldn't speculate without having appropriate or adequate information to substantiate the claims that they may feel might be attributing to it. Again, I think that this is a community concern that we should all try to remain safe and really try to refrain from name calling or blaming because again, we don't know why there's an uptick other than we know that more people are testing. And as a result of more people testing, are able to determine when people are testing positive. And that's a good thing because we're then able to isolate and quarantine them so that we can try to minimize the spread.
I agree. It sounds like the Daily Star is jumping to conclusions, at least with the way they frame the story.
I can say that the college is doing all that we can, again, to both limit exposure to those who have been tested positive by isolating and quarantining them on campus. And even for those off-campus students who may need to isolate and quarantine on campus, we're providing that opportunity for them as well.
Are you isolating in Hollywood?
I didn't hear you, Shannon.
I said, are you isolating in Hollywood?
No, unlike those officials from Texas, I am not at my summer residence.
That's great. That's beautiful. Okay. Oh, Deandra, we wanted to talk about making a public statement, right? The city making a public statement. Yeah, let's talk about that.
I'm glad you reminded me because I would have forgot. So as we were kind of discussing in the subcommittee for part of our questions coverage area was recruitment and new hires. And, you know, our officers right now are predominantly white. I would say all but one, maybe, or two. And I think a good way to encourage or support officers of color coming to Oneonta, if they don't already live here, would be like a public statement, you know, acknowledging that, like, when you know, right now when you type in Oneonta, you see a few things. Unfortunately, high COVID spikes from the colleges, you see the blacklist, and then you see picturesque hills. So I think it would be nice if only where the police department or both created kind of like a statement of we are actively learning or unlearning our, addressing our shortcomings and moving forward, and we're working on becoming a more inclusive city, and we're welcome to like people of all walks of life or something. I mean, I haven't written anything like that, but something along that line, just saying like, hey, if you come here, you won't be met with that preconceived notion of upstate racism, that we're a town where you would like to be welcome and celebrated and appreciated. So something like that on our city website, and on the OPD section of the website.
But it needs to be both. We need to have it on OPD and we need to have it on our city website. There's, zero reason why, we should have issue with an inclusivity statement on our city website. Unfortunately, our city website and the Oneonta PD website need work. They need assistance. I know I've been on there, and I think our committee, Michael Brown is on our committee. I think that's a long time ago. We just haven't. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but we just need updating, and I think that it's gonna take a lot, right, to combat this idea of the blacklist. It got so much play. Yeah, it was 1992, but when you research Oneonta at even the slightest bit, it's coming up. 2020 interviews are coming up. The movie is gonna come up. The books. Even Suko, who works every year on towards getting out there, making sure that students know that it happened and that they're doing differently as a college to move forward and make sure their students are protected and that it's a learning experience, and you learn and you move on and you move up. We need to do that too as a city. We need to have something out there that says we are actively looking to change this. This is a whole different generation, a whole different group. This, new people, new minds, and we are an inclusive city. And here are the things we've been doing, right? Not just saying it, but these are the things we've been doing, and have them up there so people can see that there's walk with our talk. We're not just saying that because you could just say that, right? We're actively doing it by XYZ, boom, boom, boom. Here's articles, here's a thing, here's a picture, whatever we have to do to make sure people can come in, check out our city website and be like, oh man, they really are actually trying their best right now. And maybe I can be part of that and I can help move them forward. That's, really who we're hoping to get in, at least what I would like, for officers, new hires to come in is people who want to come in and invest in site, who are like, it does have a history. There is a history here, but I want to be part of the change. I want to help motivate the change. Let me go ahead and see what, I can make out there. But we have to be part of it, right? We have to have that out there. People are just going to look at our website and be like, oh, they still have things from 2017. Like, we just need to tidy things up a little bit. Obviously that's not on us, but I think that as a committee, we might want to push forward having that inclusivity. The inclusivity being stated on the police department's website was in our recommendation. So it's not necessary that it's anything we kind of push as a committee right now. Maybe in the future it's cut from the recommendations that we push it, but being that committee is geared towards OPD, having inclusivity on the main website would be us as a committee doing that, as the Human Rights Commission doing that. So how does everyone feel about having such a thing?
Yeah, sounds great to me.
The only other thing I would kind of like want to piggyback of what Shannon was saying was I think it also would set Oneonta up for like a responsibility, setting a standard that we have to then live by. And like if we have a very strong mission statement, we can refer back to it if we lose our way. But just having that standard set publicly and officially, I think it's always a good thing.
So you're calling this a mission statement for the city?
I think for me, the closest thing I've read would be a company's mission statement, and that's kind of like where the idea kind of bloomed from. But we don't need titles, labels.
Okay. Has anyone thought about the police department as you're talking about these ideas pertaining to the, did I say fire department?
You said police, but I think you
Okay.
meant
I meant, I meant fire department, and I caught myself when I was going on in the sentence. Have any ideas like this to be part of the fire department also? Because I know that there's.
I think so. I mean, just in the past, when we've had, as a committee, as the Human Rights Committee, when we've had either the fire department or OPD, they kind of like are next door to each other. They kind of piggyback off each other. They're there with one another. So I feel like trend and things go back and forth between the two houses. I've never personally looked at the fire department's statements. We're going to be getting a new fire chief, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So it can be something that as a committee, we can say, we're trying to be really thoughtful right now. This is something that we're pushing for the city itself and for the police department. Here's something we were thinking of, how would you feel about us going ahead, or going ahead and including such a statement for the fire department? Why not?
Yeah, because I've heard of some concerns with the fire department, and
we had stuff come up for them
because they're not arresting people and things like this. It's not as obvious to the community as a whole. It's more subtle within the department, kind of.
Well, I would say this too. I think the statement should be applicable to all companies and anyone in the city of Oneonta, whether that's churches, hospitals, anyone in the medical field. But of course, like specifically police department, because we were working on the police reform.
Right.
But the idea that we all can learn, we all can be better, we all can be more understanding and sympathetic, should be a message everyone in Oneonta is comfortable with echoing and publicly announcing and agreeing to. So I think it would be concerning if our police department didn't want to participate in a message like that.
Right. Exactly. Which is kind of why the fire department should be cool with it too. At least something along the lines of, it doesn't have to be exactly what, we're suggesting. They are their own entity. However, at this point, why wouldn't we want inclusivity out there? Why wouldn't we want that message out there?
Right.
So.
Yeah. And we have a lot of change coming upon Oneonta. So
yes.
We're about to step on the gas here. So
big changes for us, but
we're gonna have a new mayor
in the right direction.
Chief, we're gonna have 9 new officers. We're gonna have a new fire chief. We're gonna have a hopefully brand new committee. There's gonna be a lot going on. There's gonna be a lot, and hopefully we can get the right people out to be active, pushing these things forward. But all right. So that's really all that I have. I don't have anything else. It's been a slow month. if anybody else had any correspondence with anyone or questions.
I was wondering if Luke's going to follow up on his effort to get redesignation or remarking of monuments. It's been sliding, I guess, and the longer it slides, the less likely anything will get done. But he had some momentum at first. He might want to keep going.
I do know that Luke was pushing fairly recently on it. There was
Good.
some pretty nasty stuff written about him in the newspaper about it. Somebody had written an editorial against him wanting to change it. So it's definitely gotten some community feedback. But it is something I want to say. I don't want to speak for Luke fully. It's something that he is committed to doing. I can email him or message him and see what he says and let you know, Paul. I can.
Yeah, just nudge him to suggest that he doesn't want to let it slide too much. It's been a long time, a couple of months since that response to him, which was negative, and there are positive responses too. So the sooner that he keeps moving on it, the better, I think.
Seems to me he was going to do more research, and I don't know. He has,
Yeah.
and the subject hasn't come up since he was.
I think I believe it's Daughters of the Revolutionary War or some what is it? Daughters of the
DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution.
There was a group that was due to get back to him and work with him on it somewhat. But again, I'm not Luke. I don't want to talk for him.
No, just ask him how it's going.
Huh?
Just ask him how it's going. That might just prod him to keep moving.
Sure, absolutely. As far as I know, he's still committed to doing it. So
Good.
We're very lucky to have Luke. He's a good guy. He pushes.
Absolutely.
He does a lot of pushing for us at council meetings, and he's always advocating. So we're definitely lucky to have him as our liaison.
I agree.
I mean, if that's all, we can really call it the end.
Shannon, if it's okay, I know I kind of spoke a lot this meeting, but I just wanted to see if this would be the right forum to kind of pursue this. Last year, myself and Caitlin Farrell, we put on a Juneteenth event. I kind of would like to see the city of Oneonta kind of take over the reins instead of a private individual. And I was kind of thinking, as I was writing the Women's Trailblazers, something about Juneteenth could be on our radar next, or in between then we could start thinking about it.
Sounds good to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do a lot of community event, or not a lot. We try to. COVID's obviously messed with that somewhat. I'm not quite sure how this year, how would you see an event working this year?
I don't know. I just first wanted to throw it out there to see if this would be.
We're down. We're down for it. It doesn't matter. We're down. But it's just a matter of how we would make it, have it work. Because as of right now, our Trailblazer, our even, giving the awards out is going to be in the fall. So it's just a matter of what COVID is going to allow.
Mm-hmm.
But just no.
I think if we get involved, if we say this, that we will be involved in thinking about what to do, working with the Juneteenth committee, if that's what they want. And I don't know whether they're also inviting NAACP to be involved at all, but I have seen when very creative minds get together. I was very impressed with what was done in Neowa Park at Christmas time. That was an example of, how you can do something different in COVID. And so how could this committee and maybe a representative from our commission being involved to see what kind of an event, we could come up with.
Well, Deandra actually helped run the event. It was her
Right.
and Kate. So it's definitely something that we are more than willing to assist and partake in. It's just going to be a matter of how do we develop it in a COVID world.
Yeah.
But I want you to also feel like in the future, these are things that we are going to be more than like we're going to be happy to hear and assist with. Please bring these type of happenings to us, because we, this is stuff that we enjoy doing and getting out and being supportive and being in the community.
Yeah. I mean, we've always been supportive of the NAACP with the Martin Luther King celebration, where we used to try, way back, we tried to do something on our own. And then we said, this is dumb that we're working against each other. Let's work together. Let's partner. And so I could see us, partnering with the June 19th committee and whatever way they want us to, is my opinion.
Yeah. Good that if Juneteenth falls on a Saturday this year too.
That was nice. I will say there isn't yet, or that I know of, a Juneteenth committee. So maybe that's like the first start. About
Hey Joyce, you busy? No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the doer. I mean, I don't mind being involved to listen, but and I'm very happy to listen to creative ideas. And as I said, I just think that we've got some very creative minds here in Oneonta, and so I'm sure that the June 19th old committee, former committee, last year's committee falls in that category.
All right, thanks for mentioning it, and we look forward to hearing more about it in future meetings. So if everyone's good, we can wrap up. We will have our next meeting next month. I don't think there's any conflicts or anything, so we should be good.
And that's the night we're supposed to pick the winners.
Right. So we haven't had any applications yet. So
They're often last minute.
yeah, I figured that out. I've learned that. Yeah. But all right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and being here. I appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you, Shannon.
Thanks, Shannon.
Okay. Same here.
Everyone.
See you next month.
Oh yeah, if you have any issues or concerns, please email myself or Joyce or anyone. Any one of us is fine. Email each other. It's fine.
Healthy.
Bye everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye. Thanks, Shannon.